So we are descending on Karlsborg in the helicopter.
Yes, you are.
We are on our way right there.
I think. I think we our Manny Marcos is in the helicopter together with
Hunkvist, yeah.
Hunkvist, yeah. I think I share some of the information here.
Yes, I figured you will probably, be a little bit careful about what you say, and that's fine.
For example, I share that we know who this is, and I can actually name. I say that we have encountered this being before. He's very.
Okay, well, they're really surprised about this, and their information about him is a lot less detailed than yours. So anything you tell them is probably extremely welcome information. So
I'm telling him is things because I guess and I presume that they have military personnel there.
Yes, but on a perimeter, yes.
Yeah, and so I tell them everything that they need to be cautious of and what they.
Right.
So I want to save lives now. I want them to be cautious of, and so I'm trying to paint that out in the best manner that you can expect this from this man.
Okay, and the other point that I want to emphasize when you arrive, because you are not going to fly actually over to the fortress. You're going only to fly to the area where there is a perimeter, but there is an interesting option. Do you want to be dropped in Vatten, for example, for Havsmannen?
Yes.
Okay. That seems kind of sensible, that they would just basically, open the hatch and you can just, down into Vatten. And then, and Cosmonaut, do you want to stay with them or do you want to basically fly along with Havsmannen?
I think I want what are we? They are expecting us to.
Well, they're not quite sure. Your information is actually better than theirs.
Yeah.
So they are actually fairly open to your preferred approach or desire to do whatever you want. You basically just want to fly out and do whatever you want to do. They're thinking it's not really going to make much sense to just fly to some military tent and have you stand around, right?
What I want to happen is this. I mean, Havsmannen is dropped into the water, and everybody's looking at the Havsmannen diving, the way in from the helicopter, 20 meters.
Exactly
down.
Right. Now, of course, I don't know if it is an Olympic dive or it's a sort of a Hellboy jump. That's
probably
I don't know which one.
I think I was having a nap in the helicopter over there, so I just rolled over and out the side.
Okay, and out you go. Excellent. Right.
I was just falling.
Yes. And when they turned back and so where we're going to drop off? I'm not there.
Right, off you go. Right, no, it's no question at all.
So basically, you are in you, and I'm pointing towards you on my screen here.
Okay.
Of course. Perfect. Yeah. And so it's very easy for the two of you. It's very easy for the two of you to monitor each other's whereabouts. You have the awareness to do that when you want to. Right. So that's not a problem. As long as you're in the same general space, then it's very easy for the two of you to know where each other is.
And I also think that the way we have handled all situations before is that we make really this assessment.
Right.
Yeah. So you have to be in the water, and I have to be wherever my suit wants me to be.
Right. Exactly.
So what's happening now? You're connecting with the water in
exactly. I want both of you to make your awareness checks, which are intelligence rolls. And at last, Ulf gets to roll some dice.
Yes. That doesn't look good.
No,
Is
it doesn't look good for me either.
Oh, no.
Actually,
that is I roll 7 + 5. That's 12, and I have an intelligence of 12. I don't know whether that succeed or not.
You do. That's your value or less. So
Okay.
that is good for him.
13, and I roll 11, 14.
Okay. So what Cosmonaut, I'm going to say that the psychic emanations from Karlsborg Fortress, and especially because they are connected with what is in the water.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. I'm going to say that those effects are extremely overwhelming. Bengtsson is in his place of power now. He has created. He has created
more power than inside his orb.
Correct, because here, well, he's still got that thing, and now he is in a a state of, as you have rightly said, of a state of homecoming, a state. This is where he belongs, and not only that, but it's not just physical; it's official. He and you are. This is what Hankvist is figuring out from now transmissions that are coming from there. They are making their announcement, which is to say, we are, the agency is online. We are running this now. We are.
The king is dead. Long live the king.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
They are not going to attack. They are not here as supervillains. They are here to run this agency properly. And they are saying to the government, take it and like it. Right. And so that's what they are saying. But the point is, the force of all of this is overwhelming to you. You are not perceiving any of this. You are not understanding any of this. You are basically kind of your head is being spun into strange spaces because of the intensity that you are attempting to access.
Turbulence.
Yes, exactly. Whereas underwater is slightly different. There are several things that you need to know. One of them that your awareness picks up without any trouble at all is that there is something deeply evil here. It is contained. It has actually been dissected. It has been managed, but it was introduced here. It does not belong here, and it is here and quite powerful. So this is what was brought up from the Vasa. This is what gave rise to all of this horrific technology later. This is after the Ethernaut program. This is in the 1990s. And so there are war materials, there are things that came from this thing, that were derived from this thing, and it is truly evil. Whoever controls this area, who controls this fortress, is going to have access to this shit. This is their thing. So that's one thing that you know. Another thing that your awareness makes very clear to you is all the ways into the fortress from down here, because there are lots of them. So,
bang.
Right, because it's right on the water. I mean, I've looked at the pictures, and so swimming up to it under the water and into the secret doors and things, which we all know, of course, are there, should be quite simple for you. That's what your awareness is very good for. So, so that is your mutual experience of being here. Don't forget that they are concerned about resolving the situation before anyone else does.
And that was the thing that Manny was talking about.
That's exactly right. They seem to think that, who would imagine that the combined overlap of the European Union and NATO, the zone of overlap between the two of them, who would ever think of them as having priorities and agencies and powers at their disposal? Who would ever imagine such a thing?
So I'm what this does to me is that I basically I realize that I'm not on top of this, and I'm getting into. Is there any way for us to communicate? We can only sense each other's.
I think that first of all, you can sense each other's presence, but you cannot communicate. You don't have the powers for that. But on the other hand, the two of you have worked together before, and it is fairly likely that you both know that once you assess the situation, then you reconvene at the surface of the water, perhaps to.
I think that
you've done that before, right?
The epics I'm looking for.
Right. I know it's late, but let's take a quick breathe just for a second to clarify. I want to show off my research that in 1921, the Belgium-Luxembourg Economic Union was formed. You will be interested to know that it still exists. That agency still exists and still has its meeting and its council, its little committee and everything. And that it was created in Parliament, but it was done against the popular vote. So it actually was illegitimately created. And then, let's see, the Benelux Customs Union was created, adding the Netherlands in 1944. Both countries, Belgium and Luxembourg, were founding members in the United Nations. That NATO was formed in 1948. Both of them were included. That the European Coal and Steel Community was created in 1951, including those nations, the Netherlands, France, Italy, and West Germany. That the European Economic Community was created in 1957. That was later transformed into the European Union, including, again, I note, please, these particular governments: Belgium, France, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and West Germany. That Schengen was created in 1985, again, with these nations, Belgium, Luxembourg, and a couple of the same that I have mentioned, and that ultimately all of these were, folded in different ways as either part of or sister groups to the EU. So what I'm getting at is that we are looking, at a very old, very distinctly political group that has been at the core of all of these things. They didn't engineer them, but they always found their way to be at the center of them at their organizing level. So this is, of course, the very same group which is the most dedicated to the currency elements of the European Union and their and the policies toward countries holding debt, getting loans, austerity, and things like that. At the moment, Germany gets most of the attention for that, but that's not where the policy originated and not where the policy is made. Furthermore, that you will note that there are very few countries who are members of the EU who are not subject to those bank and currency considerations. And we are all sitting in one of those countries right now.
Yeah.
Just giving a little bit of backstopping as to why Sweden would often be not particularly popular among the power players I have just mentioned. Basically, they're getting away with it, if you want to look at it that way, from their point of view.
So
indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So they are like this agency are like standing ready to intervene if we.
Oh yeah, if Sweden has any trouble and can't handle its own problems. We all know NATO in particular is very, very good at expressing the concept of humanitarian aid.
Yeah.
Ask Libya. They're excellent at that.